On this episode of Media Rebel Unplugged,
You really do just have to hold on because it's one of those things of like, you really are being forged in the fire. Like, you will come out stronger on the other side, I promise you.
for listeners who are in this moment of rebuilding right now, and maybe they're scared and they're tired and they're like, oh gosh, how am I going to start over at zero? What advice would you give them as that first step?
I think you really need to take that time to think about. A couple years later, this woman called me and she was like, "Hi, I'm the assistant for so and so," and it was the big fish. I was like, literally, I like muted the phone and I'm like, this is crazy.
Welcome back to Media Rebel Unplugged. I'm Janice. Today we're talking about rebuilding after a major setback, what it really looks like to start over, how to grow something sustainable without burning yourself out. Joining me today is Allie Raymer. Allie is a senior travel advisor at Picture This Travel, and she had to rebuild her own travel career after losing it during the pandemic. Today, she leads a thriving team and is passionate about honest entrepreneurship, boundaries, and serving clients with heart. I'm really excited for this conversation because I know a lot of people listening have been in that now what season, and Allie's story is going to hit home. Allie, welcome to this show.
Thank you so much for having me. That was like such an awesome intro. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. I mean, you've really gone through it and rebuilt yourself. So please introduce yourself to our audience and give them a little background into your journey.
Thank you. So I am Allie Raymer. I am a senior travel advisor. I've been with Picture This Travel since 2017. I used to be a high school English teacher. I was selling travel to high school students and leading groups abroad. And my husband's aunt, who owned her own agency, saw what I was doing with high school students who really couldn't even afford to travel. And she thought, okay, you could do this with people with money, right? And I thought, oh, okay, let's do it. So she took me under her wing and taught me how to sell travel and be an advisor. And I really mentored under her for a few years and left the teaching industry in 2019 to pursue the travel industry full time.
What timing?
It was great timing, right? I replaced that teacher salary and then the pandemic happened.
I imagine everything just stopped. Like, because I remember that. Like, it was like, nope, we can't go anywhere. We're stuck. We're all indoors.
Yeah, it was really wild. I mean, because it was something that you just none of us could prepare for, none of us could anticipate. And I remember starting to see the world shut down, and it was like this trickle effect of people calling you and, okay, we're going to cancel this cruise and we're going to cancel this. And then it was just a massive shutdown. As travel advisors, we're commission based. So we actually do not earn any money until our clients travel. So I had booked trips that year for people. And of course, my heart was broken for them. They weren't getting to go on these amazing trips.
Right.
And I wasn't going to be able to support myself and my family. So it was definitely a trying year. And I did have my son a few weeks before the whole world shut down. So I had him on Valentine's Day, 2020. And a few weeks later, the whole world shut down. So it was kind of like the combination of the two was definitely trying for sure.
Like, what was your go-to in that moment of, I'm sure you probably wanted to scream and cry. I would have gone to a complete meltdown. So what was that like for you?
Honestly, there were so many tears shed that year as a new mom and then isolation, we couldn't even be with our own families and then having to work just so very hard to cancel everything and know I would never get paid. So I remember holding my newborn, feeding him, being on hold and just being like, I don't know when we're ever going to see the light of day in this. Why did I quit my teaching job? I could have been teaching and making a paycheck while doing this pandemic thing. And it was a lot of questioning and doubts for sure.
What helped you get through that? What kept you strong?
I think being a mom, you have no other choice but to be strong. And you have this kid who's relying on you. And I hope that I can share my story with him one day when he's older and he can really see, like, whoa, mom really sacrificed for us. And that really is what kept me going. And I had a great group of friends. And my husband's amazing. He supported us so much in that season and just kept believing in me. And he was like, you're doing right by people. My boss, she was like, okay, this kind of similar thing happened back in 9/11 in a way. the whole
Yeah.
world shut down. And she said, and guess what? We all came back stronger, but we had to stick it out. And so I thought, gosh, okay, if I can just stick this out and just hope for the light at the end of the tunnel, travel will come back and it will be bigger than ever. And people are going to look to me and somebody that they trust, you know?
That's such a journey for any entrepreneur to go through, as we kind of touched on a little bit before we started to record here. Anybody who thinks that entrepreneurship is this glamorous lifestyle, a lot of the people that you see who are living that life, they went through the trenches. They had a lot of either rejection, a lot of pauses to what looked like something was going to take off and be great. And now all of a sudden, there's a big wrench thrown into it. The true people that succeed at being an entrepreneur are those who can find inner strength, find that support system like you did, and just start rebuilding and keeping the faith. Like you said, you knew it was going to come back. It's a matter of continuing to work through it because it will eventually work out. But if you quit, you're not going to gain anything. It will never work out because you just simply did what was easier in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And that's really, there was a season there where I obviously made no money. I honestly don't even know how we paid our bill looking back on it, but I did have to go back and teach that next year. And thankfully, my school had an opening, and I was like, okay, I've got to build up a little bit more money before this travel biz takes off again, because I knew it would. And so I went back and taught that year. Now that was madness, working a full time job, doing the side hustle when I got home, having a 1-year old at that point. And so that's the stuff that people didn't see. I was having to work at 8 to 3 and then come home and hang out with my kid, put him to bed, and then work until midnight, 1 a.m. They just saw the Instagram highlight reel of, oh, look at Allie building her business back. Look at her doing great. And I'm like, I'm over here struggling.
It's like someone said, you know my social media, but you don't know my life.
Mm,
That persona that we can put on social media is it's what sells it, but at the end of the day, it's not reality. Like, I think people need to hear that and understand that if you are feeling really frustrated, if you're on the brink of quitting, if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, know that you're not alone because and trust me, more of us have been through it than you know.
absolutely. And you really do just have to hold on because it's one of those things of like, you really are being forged in the fire. Like, you will come out stronger on the other side, I promise you. And
Yeah.
I think if you quit, it's just you're not gonna get that reward. It's like we suffered through all this. We might as well just get the reward of it too.
Right, because what happens if you quit now? You're like, "Oh, I did all that for what?"
Yeah, exactly.
But then you just feel like you just wasted however many months or years on the thing. So you might just have to find another way. You might have to pivot. You might have to take a temporary job. You might have
Mhm.
to go through the sleepless nights and the long hours to get there. But you did it, and that's great that you were able to rebuild it that way. I imagine it probably took a couple of years because if I recall, like travel didn't really start back up until about 22, middle.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. We kind of called it the revenge travel. Probably in 22 and 23 is when it really everybody was like, I gotta go. I need to go somewhere. I've been deprived. So yeah, it did take a couple years. And because our book of business, compared to real estate. So realtors, they might sell a house, well, they might close in 30 days and they're gonna get their commission check. But for us, some people are planning these big trips a year out. So I
Right.
might have something on the books, but I'm not going to get that paycheck for a year. So it was kind of building that runway back up again to then be able to really jump back into this full time.
Well, good for you for sticking it out the way that you have and you know, like you said, being forged with a fire. Like I had a guest of mine who said, steel, that's how it's made. You have to go through the fire to come out all shiny and new and strong.
Right.
So kudos to you. I'm hearing next year's projected to be one of the best years ever for travel.
That's definitely what we are experiencing as well. I mean, my teammates are breaking records every year. I'm so proud of them. Our sales are higher than it's ever been. So that's definitely on the horizon. I know the ocean cruises obviously kind of took a dip after COVID. And I think it took a while for that confidence to build back with the consumer. But I was reading that the other day about ocean cruises, how much they are just booming for 26 and the luxury market, the mid market, It's wild to see how something like that we all probably thought in 2020, "Oh, the cruise lines are done," and they're
Right.
coming back bigger than ever, which is amazing, and just, like, new destinations that people are maybe were able to do that Italy and that Spain initially or something, and now they're ready to go explore other places,
Mhm.
and yeah, we're seeing, like, the airlines add in new routes, and it's exciting.
I saw like you had talked about boundaries and like serving your clients with heart. And I think that's something that's really important that you're not just looking at it as like, I'm going to make this much commission on it. You're looking at it more from this is the experience that you're going to gain. And I think that more people need to have an outlook like that when it comes to the day to day. What do you do to really focus on the heart of the travel experience for them?
Oh, I love that question. So, I think part of it was not making any money and seeing all those dreams. Gosh, I wanna serve people who want to go to these places, but maybe just lack the confidence to do that, and they need somebody that's a cheerleader in their corner that's like, "You're gonna rock this trip to Italy." And I think I really had to come back to that why and listen to people because I've got clients that have all kinds of budgets. I don't even care if the budget's lower. I want to really connect with you and I want to take you somewhere you haven't been before. And that's really the most important thing to me. I think making no money and serving people well
Yeah.
showed me what I really cared about.
But yeah, I'm sure you've gained so much more knowledge in those struggles. People miss that sometimes when we go through a difficult time. It's about the lessons that we take from that and who that rebuilds us, whether it rebuilds your purpose, your business focus. But there's always something positive to take out of those trials that we go through.
For sure.
For listeners who are in this moment of rebuilding right now, and maybe they're scared and they're tired and they're like, oh gosh, how am I going to start over at zero? What advice would you give them as that first step?
I think you really need to take that time to think what is going to set me on fire. I had a very interesting experience starting back the business again. I had gone to Cabo with my agency and saw a million properties. And I remember while I was there, a really big fish that was from my hometown. I thought, "Oh, she's planning this big Cabo trip right now. She's looking for a travel advisor. Like, I'm her girl. Like, I'm in Cabo right now. This is it. This is the one."
Yeah.
And she rejected me. She went for somebody else, she went for another agency, and honestly, it took some reflection to say, "Why did she say no? Why did she reject me?" I thought, "There's a reason why. Like, what does my brand look like? What message am I sending out into the world?" And
Mm.
I really didn't have a clear identity, and I thought, "I'm just gonna nail this down. How can I put myself out there? Who do I wanna reach? How do I wanna present myself?" And I spent the whole weekend, maybe take a rejection that you got and turn it into a win. That's when my business changed, is when I took that time to really self-reflect on the no that I was given. And the coolest part about that story is a couple years later, this woman called me and she was like, "Hi, I'm the assistant for so and so." And it was the big fish. And I was like, "My God." I was like, literally, I like muted the phone and I'm like, this is crazy. And I'm like, "Yes, of course. Hello." And she was like, "So they wanna do this big Europe trip and they wanna work with you." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, what are the odds of that, that they would wanna come work with me after they were the reason their no was the reason I built my business." So, I don't think it'll always happen that way, but it was cool.
I love that full circle moment though. That's gotta make you feel just so accomplished, you
I was
know?
like, "Dang, it worked. I got her."
I think anytime you start your own business now, I can say this because I'm in marketing. I've dealt with hundreds of clients. I've seen this where normally it's because a business is so focused on what it thinks it should be doing, it misses who is your core audience.
Mm,
You really have to know them. I mean, like you have to know them better than you know yourself sometimes. And I think that really is true when it comes to travel. What is it that they really want to do? What is the reasoning behind why they want to go in this travel experience? What is their age group? What is the motivating factors for them? And it's really that way in anything that we do. Like when you look at even from a podcast perspective, when we have this conversation, who are we really trying to speak to? Who's really listening to us when
mm,
we are talking? And I always joke like, okay, so I'm supposed to my audience for me, it's women. right? But we oftentimes attract men because I have beautiful women on my podcast and they want to come and listen in. And that's great.
You're
Men
like,
are
"What's their
welcome
secret
too.
sauce?"
Men are welcome to it. I'm not a male hater. I have 4 sons, so, like, that's not it for me. But knowing that the core audience are people who are business owners and entrepreneurs, women who have gone through hard times and are having a difficult time pushing through it and need to have people behind them supporting them. And so I think the more that you can focus and tailor that experience, and your messaging to your audience, the more successful you'll be. And it sounds like you hit the nail on the head.
Well, that's such a good point, and I mean, I think sometimes we are so, like, big picture that we forget that our audience needs the small little questions answered, or those small pain points answered, and that's where you have to know the audience. I love that, know the audience better than you know yourself sometimes because we're just kind of running our businesses, we're just running on autopilot. Like, we've got the 10,000 hours in, we know what we're doing, but sometimes it's like, "Oh, wait, why am I doing this?" What's this little nugget that I just do without thinking that my clients find is a superpower? And that's been kind of eye-opening over the last couple years of like some of the content and marketing we put out there is just peeking behind the curtain a little bit and seeing like, oh, we can just share these little nuggets and they're mind blowing for our audience because we just know it. It's just something we do, without thinking.
Yeah. Oh, I know, same. So we'll just talk about I'll be in a random conversation and somebody will say something and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't realize how many people didn't know that," because I talk this all the time. I talk about branding and digital marketing all the time and it becomes just your language. But for those who don't live in that life, for them it is those little nuggets of information that can have such an impact on them and their decisions. So
Yeah, that's good.
where can people find you that are looking to connect? I know we've mentioned social media and your website. We will have links in the description as well.
Yeah. So the website is a great place to get started just to kind of learn a little bit more about me, AlliePictureThisTravel.com. And then my Instagram, you can just kind of follow along in the craziness. I definitely post about being a mom and being an entrepreneur, being a team lead, and of course my travels too. So you can hopefully learn a few tips. And that's Allie Picture This Travel on Instagram as well. So hopefully I'm easy to find. And I'm on LinkedIn too. Yeah, if you want to find me there, and I would love to connect.
Perfect. Thank you all for listening to Media Rebel Unplugged today. If this episode helped you, made you think differently, or inspired you, please share it with somebody that you know and hit subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. We'll see you next time.